to this video that illustrates how to use a simulation parameter in Analytic Solver platform. Here's a simulation example that predicts the expected revenue from the number of tickets sold for an airline flight, subject to no shows and overbookings. This small example uses an uncertain function in cell E4 to simulate the number of passengers that will miss this flight. Cell D15 contains a PSI mean function, which creates an uncertain function in cell D13. Cell D9 contains a PSI sim param function, which is a simulation parameter where cells H3 through H53 are the parameters. There are 51 cells in the range H3 through H53. When I set the number of simulations to 51 and then run a simulation by clicking the Simulate icon, 51 different simulations will be run using the number of tickets sold in cells H3 through H53. Each simulation will have 1,000 trial values. For example, the first simulation will be run using 100 for the number of tickets sold. The second simulation will be run using 101 for the number of tickets sold. The third simulation will be run using 102 for the number of tickets sold, and so on. Click the Simulate icon to turn on interactive simulation and to run a simulation. Since we have one uncertain function, and this is the first time we are running a simulation, the uncertain function dialog for cell D13 opens automatically. You can select the different simulations here in this drop-down menu. For example, now we are looking at the frequency chart for the first simulation. I can select Sim 7 to view the frequency chart for the 7th simulation. One item that I do want to note is that if I make a change to the chart, such as changing the chart type, setting a cutoff value, or even adding a marker, all changes will be applied to all simulations. Once I close this dialog, we can expect cells I3 through I53. As you can see, as the number of tickets sold in cell H3 increases, our expected revenue also increases, right around until we get to the number of tickets sold being 117. After the number of tickets sold increases beyond 117, our expected revenue starts to decline. This is because as the number of tickets sold increases, the number of overbooked passengers also increases, and the cost of refunding each overbooked passenger $250 starts to eat away at our profits. We can also choose the simulation displayed on the worksheet by selecting this drop-down menu. So here we see the values for the 10th simulation. And then if we wanted to look at each individual trial, we can simply increment through each trial by clicking the right and left buttons in the Tools area of the ribbon. This concludes this video on Analytic Solver Platform's simulation parameters. To contact our technical support staff, please click the link that appears on the screen now.